So welcome everyone to a brand new video on our channel. Today we're going to talk about the first and latest movie of the DC universe, Superman. This Superman movie was just released yesterday, that is, on 11th of July, and ever since its release, the movie has been receiving a very positive response. All the superhero fans who have watched this movie so far are really liking it. In fact, speaking for myself, I also really enjoyed this movie. And the biggest reason for that is that in this film, James Gunn didn't waste any time showing Superman's origin. Instead, this movie takes us directly into the story of a Superman who has already declared himself Superman on Earth for the past 3 years. That means the Superman in this movie has been in front of the world for 3 years now. So friends, if you enjoyed today's video and the story of the movie, then don't forget to like the video. So let's not waste any more time and start this amazing video. The Superman movie starts from Antarctica. In the icy region of Antarctica, even before the movie begins, we hear an announcement about Superman. And from this announcement, we come to know what has happened so far in the world that this movie's story is set in. Here we learn that in this world, about 300 years ago, metahumans began appearing slowly. Metahumans, meaning people who look like ordinary humans, but have physical strength far beyond that of a regular person. And as soon as metahumans started appearing on Earth 300 years ago, a new era of gods and demons began in the world. Now friends, basically in the DC universe, superheroes are considered as gods, and that's why here the word gods means DC superheroes, and demons refers to their supervillains. Moving forward, we hear that around 30 years ago from the present time, a spaceship from an unknown planet in outer space crash-landed on Earth. Inside that spaceship was a small child who had been sent from a distant planet named Krypton directly to Earth. When this child arrived on Earth, he was raised by a farming family in America. Then, 3 years ago, the grown-up boy announced to the world that he was a superhero named Superman. And this Superman was the most powerful among all the metahumans in the world. From that moment, Superman took the responsibility of protecting the entire world. But then, 3 weeks ago, a country named Bolivia tried to seize control over a place called Zaranpur. However, Superman stopped Bolivia from doing so and went directly against the government, president, and army of Bolivia. This forced Bolivia to retreat, but Superman's actions raised questions around the world. Then, just 3 hours ago, a meta-human named Hammer of Bolivia attacked Superman in Metropolis City. And just 3 minutes ago, for the first time ever, we saw Superman lose a fight. And now, we move to the present scene of the movie. As the present time begins, we see Superman lying in the snow in Antarctica. He's covered in blood and severely wounded. At this point, even moving becomes difficult for Superman, so he blows a whistle to call his dog, Krypto. Within seconds, we see Superman's dog Krypto running toward him. At first, Krypto starts playing with Superman, but then Superman explains to him that he needs to take him away from there and bring him straight home. In the next moment, Krypto grabs Superman's cape with his mouth and drags him to a nearby location. As Superman is being dragged there, we see several crystals break through the ice and emerge from beneath. Then a door opens with a large S symbol on it. Seeing that symbol, we realize that this isn't just anything. This is the same spaceship that brought Superman to Earth. As soon as the door opens, Krypto drags Superman inside. Once inside, we see 4 bots, and these 4 bots are actually robots from the planet Krypton. If we look at them closely, they resemble Ultron bots, but the special thing about them is they can speak. So as soon as these robots see Superman in his wounded condition, they quickly pick him up and lay him down in a specific place to begin healing. The Kryptonian bots scan Superman's body. After scanning, they find that due to the recent battle, Superman is not only severely injured, but also has 14 broken bones in his body. Now, to heal Superman, the Kryptonian AI, gods, discuss among themselves that the star of Earth is a yellow sun, and the rays of the yellow sun are nothing less than a blessing for Superman, because the light of this yellow sun can heal Superman very quickly and also restore his powers. So to do this, they use a large magnifying glass and focus the sunlight directly on Superman. As a result, we see that Superman is healed in just a few seconds, and his powers almost return to what they were before. However, along with all of this, we also learn that 30 years ago, when Superman was sent to Earth in this very spaceship, his mother and father had also sent a recording with him. That recording contained their final message, and here, we get to hear that message as well. In the message, Superman's parents tell him that their planet Krypton is on the verge of destruction, and it will be completely destroyed very soon. That's why they are sending their son, Superman, whose real name is Kal-El, far away to planet Earth. They tell him that he must now live on Earth, and once grown up, he should help and serve the people of Earth. But they also say, "Son Kal-El, even after you reach Earth, never forget Krypton. Always carry the spirit of your home planet with you." However, we see that the message abruptly stops at this point. Through Superman's Kryptonian bots, we learn that the rest of the recording was damaged due to the impact of the spaceship crash when it arrived on Earth. That's why Superman has never been able to hear his parents' full message, until now. At the same time, while Superman is being treated inside the spaceship, outside in the frozen lands, we see a DC supervillain named the Engineer approaching Superman's spaceship. She is basically tracking Superman, and she figures out where Superman's healing spot is located and where this Kryptonian ship lies hidden in Antarctica. Now, friends, we find out that she is in contact with Lex Luthor, the same Lex Luthor who is Superman's greatest enemy. You might be wondering what exactly is going on at the start of this Superman movie, but I'll just say, stick with the film, because the whole story will soon unfold. Next, we see that Superman, healed by the sun's rays, is now almost fully recovered. So, without delay, he flies out of there at high speed, heading straight back to Metropolis City to continue the fight with the enemy he was facing before. Then the scene shifts, and we see Metropolis City. There, we see the same Hammer of Barivia, the one who had earlier injured Superman in battle. From the way Hammer behaves, we realize that he wasn't created by just anyone. He was created by Lex Luthor himself. At this time, Lex is sitting in his office, controlling Hammer with the help of his team. As we all know, Lex Luthor hates Superman deeply. That's why, 3 years ago, when he first saw Superman, he began developing multiple gadgets and weapons using his immense wealth and technology with the sole purpose of defeating and killing Superman. He also built a team of highly advanced people, and now, with the help of all these resources, he has finally succeeded in creating weapons powerful enough to overpower Superman. One of those weapons is the Hammer of Barivia. Now, friends, although we already know what Lex Luthor is doing, we'll later learn why he hates Superman so much. That part of the story is yet to come. Then we see that Superman finally arrives in Metropolis. As soon as he enters the city, his fight with Hammer of Barivia resumes. But in this entire fight, we see that Lex Luthor is remotely programming Hammer's every move. Because of this, Hammer is again overpowering Superman, slamming him into the ground and throwing him into the air. Here we also learn that Lex Luthor has studied all of Superman's past fights, and he has programmed every one of Superman's combat techniques into his system. That's why now, Lex has a counter for every move Superman makes. Because of this, Hammer of Barivia defeats Superman very badly in this fight. Seeing this, Lex Luthor and his entire team are thrilled, because today, they've finally managed to defeat Superman, the most powerful metahuman in the entire world. So now, Superman, severely wounded again, barely manages to pull himself together and flies away from the battle scene. Then we directly see Hammer of Barivia again. After defeating Superman, he flies off and reaches a remote location, which turns out to be Lex Luthor's secret base. Then we follow the Hammer of Barivia, who, after defeating Superman, flies away to a distant location, which turns out to be Lex Luthor's secret base. When he arrives there, he directly enters a portal. And when he comes out of that portal, he ends up in an entirely different world. But inside this portal's other side, we see Lex Luthor, who is with several of his men. Now, upon seeing this world, we learn that it's actually a pocket universe, a world that looks like ours, but is much smaller in size than our universe. And accessing this pocket universe is not something just anyone can do. We find out that Lex Luthor is an extremely brilliant genius, as he is, of course, in DC Comics. And that's why, even though he is just a normal human, he manages to bring a superhero like Superman to his knees. And now, since Lex Luthor is both incredibly intelligent and extremely wealthy, he used his mind to create an invention that triggered a blast similar to the Big Bang. And as we all know, the creation of the universe happened after the Big Bang explosion. So when Lex Luthor replicated a similar blast, that's what led to the creation of this pocket universe. After that, Lex Luthor made this pocket universe his hideout. He began conducting all his illegal activities here. He even built a private prison, a prison where Lex Luthor would lock up all those who either opposed him or created problems for him. But now, inside this very pocket universe, when the Hammer of Barivia comes to meet Lex Luthor, we find out that his name is fake. His real name is actually Ultraman, and Lex Luthor introduced him as Hammer of Barivia so that the blame for attacking Superman would fall on the country of Bolivia. And friends, this is the same Bolivia that 3 years ago tried to invade the country called Zarinpur, but Superman stopped them. That's why Lex Luthor gave his creation, Ultraman, the name Hammer of Bolivia, so that no one would suspect Lex Luthor and the entire blame for the attack on Superman would fall on Bolivia. Now, after all this, the scene shifts, and we learn that several days have passed since Superman's fight. But now, for the past few days, the city of Metropolis has been very peaceful. So we then see Superman, his alter ego, Clark Kent, getting ready in the morning and arriving at the Daily Planet, his news reporting company where he works as a journalist. After arriving at the office, Clark Kent meets everyone. And here, he also meets Lois Lane, who is not just his colleague at work, but also, we find out they've been dating each other for the past 3 months. So yes, Clark Kent and Lois Lane are in a relationship. We also find out that Lois Lane knows Clark Kent's truth, that he is actually Superman. And not just that, here we also learn about Clark Kent's glasses. You've probably always noticed that whenever Superman becomes Clark Kent, he wears glasses. And because of those glasses, no one is able to recognize him as Superman. The answer to this is given in the DC Comics, where it's revealed that Clark Kent's glasses aren't ordinary. They actually contain hypnosis powers. So whenever someone sees Clark Kent through these glasses, their mind perceives that he doesn't look like Superman. And friends, this is exactly what is shown in the movie as well, that Clark Kent's glasses are hypnosis glasses. Because of these, no one can figure out that Clark Kent is Superman. Then, we see Superman's parents calling him. They speak to Clark Kent over the phone. They ask him to take some time off to come visit them because, due to work, he hasn't visited them in a long time. After this, we see Clark, Lois Lane, and their colleagues discussing Superman and his recent fight in their newsroom. But at this moment, they watch a news broadcast on TV. In that news, the president of Bolivia is asked about the identity of the Hammer of Bolivia, but the Bolivian president denies it, saying that the Hammer of Bolivia is not from their country and that they have nothing to do with him, that he is someone else entirely who is merely using their country's name. And friends, as we already know, the Hammer of Bolivia is actually Ultraman, created by Lex Luthor. After this, the scene shifts again, and we directly see the Pentagon of the US. And for those who don't know what the Pentagon is, let me tell you, the Pentagon is basically the headquarters of the US Department of Defense. So, all decisions related to the defense of the US are made from this very Pentagon. Inside this Pentagon, we see that Lex Luthor comes to meet with the US Defense Minister and several high-ranking officials. In this meeting, Lex Luthor first shows everyone all of his robots. Then, on a display screen, he shows them his engineer. After that, he shows them several of his people wearing powerful suits, basically Lex Luthor's army. And finally, after all this, he shows them Ultraman, the metahuman who had defeated Superman in a battle a few days ago. After showing them all this on display and showcasing their powers, Lex Luthor tells everyone that he already has an entire army prepared to fight against metahumans, and if the US government wants, he is willing to sell this powerful army to them. But upon hearing Lex Luthor's proposal, the defense minister asks him, "What exactly is your motive behind all of this? Why do you want to do all this?" Hearing this, Lex Luthor tells everyone, in today's world, the number of metahumans is gradually increasing. Metahumans are beings that are far more powerful than ordinary humans. But among all the metahumans, the biggest headache is Superman. He continues, "Just a few weeks ago, we all saw how Superman went against the government and military of the country Bolivia. Now, whether Bolivia was right or wrong, that doesn't matter to us. But what's important is that Superman interfered in a country's government affairs, and only because he felt the decision was wrong. But think about it. If tomorrow, our country, the US, strikes a deal with another country to protect its citizens or takes military action somewhere, then the day isn't far when Superman might go against our country too. He might attack our government and military, and obviously, we can't let that happen. But here's the truth," Luthor adds, "we can't do anything to Superman because he is the most powerful metahuman in the world. And that's why I have created Ultraman, the engineer, and this entire army, so that with their help, not only can we stop Superman, we can actually capture him, arrest him, and throw him in a government prison. Because we all know," Luthor says, "Superman is like a walking weapon, a weapon that can strike anyone anytime, without warning. That's why we absolutely cannot afford to let someone like Superman roam freely. And as for defeating Superman, well, we've already done that, because as you all remember just a few days ago in that battle, my creation, Ultraman, defeated Superman very badly. Not just once, but twice. And with that, it becomes clear to us that the attack on Superman by Ultraman a few days ago was planned by Lex Luthor. The purpose was to defeat Superman and prove to the government that his Ultraman was even more powerful than Superman. After hearing all this, the people in the meeting agree with Lex Luthor, but they also tell him catching someone like Superman and keeping him in a normal prison is impossible, so how will we control him? To this, Lex Luthor says, "Dealing with Superman is my job. With the help of my Ultraman and army, I will capture Superman and put him in a prison of my own creation, a prison from which escape will be absolutely impossible for Superman. After that, the government can interrogate Superman however it wants. If they wish, they can experiment on him, or if they want to kill him, they can do that too." Now we see that Lex Luthor successfully convinces everyone in the meeting. As a result, the defense minister and all the officials agree to hand Superman over to Lex Luthor, after which Lex Luthor will capture Superman and imprison him. But there's one major concern among them. Capturing Superman at this time might backfire on the government. The citizens of the US could rise up against the government. They all tell Lex Luthor, Superman is the nation's superhero. The entire population of the US loves Superman deeply. So if we capture Superman without a valid reason and throw him in jail, the entire public will turn against the government. That's why we cannot allow you to capture Superman just yet. Hearing this, Lex Luthor becomes slightly angry. He tries even harder to convince the people in the meeting, but just then, we see Rick Flag Sr. in the meeting, a very high-ranking official of the US. He speaks up and says to Lex Luthor, "Now I finally understand why you're so obsessed with Superman." He tells everyone in the meeting, "Actually, we have two neighboring countries, Bolivia and Zaranpur. Out of these, the country Bolivia wants to take over its neighboring country Zaranpur. So a few weeks ago, they sent their army to invade Zaranpur. But Superman stopped that invasion and didn't let Bolivia occupy Zaranpur. And truth be told, the country Bolivia has a very good relationship with the US. But this same Bolivia has unusually good relations with Lex Luthor. And the reason is that Lex Luthor has recently sent a large number of weapons to the country of Bolivia. And now, obviously, Bolivia will only buy more weapons from Lex Luthor. If it attacks Zaranpur and uses those weapons, then it will need even more. But now that Superman has stopped their war, Lex Luthor's business has also come to a halt. That's why he wants to somehow remove Superman from his path so he can further expand his weapons business. Now friends, even though Lex Luthor says yes in front of everyone and admits that he has made arms deals with the country of Bo, he says that selling weapons to other countries is not a wrong thing. In fact, he claims he has done this completely legally, and therefore there is no fault on his part. Rather, the fault lies with Superman. And due to these arms dealings, it won't be hidden that Superman has violated international agreements. He has interfered arbitrarily between two countries. A country like Bolivia, which is an ally of the USA, has now rebelled against its own government. He has made Bolivia an enemy of our country, and in the future he might do even more such things. That's why, at the very least, capturing Superman and putting him in jail is extremely necessary. But friends, even after hearing all this from Lex Luthor, everyone in the meeting still says that they can't directly issue orders to arrest Superman, at least not as long as he is the world's superhero. Now friends, inside the meeting everyone rejects Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor realizes that if he wants to get Superman arrested, then he must somehow show Superman as a villain in front of the world. Now friends, if you all remember the engineer on Lex Luthor's team, who is basically a girl, Lex Luthor experimented on her and fitted many mechanical devices into her body, which turned her into a walking machine. And you might remember that this same engineer had located Superman's hideout at the beginning of the movie and figured out where his spaceship was. For this, Black Luthor goes directly to the engineer and takes her straight to Antarctica, right to the place where she had seen Superman's spaceship. Now, friends, there's something special about this icy place in Antarctica where Superman's spaceship is buried. That special thing is, as soon as Superman arrives here, the spaceship comes out, and the doors open up for Superman so that he can enter it. And all this is possible because the spaceship scans Superman's DNA. As soon as it detects that Superman is nearby, it opens up for him. But obviously, if this place opens with Superman's DNA, it won't open for anyone else. But friends, we see that as soon as Lex Luthor arrives there with the engineer and Ultraman, the doors of Superman's spaceship open right in front of them, and the three of them enter the spaceship very easily. Now friends, why exactly this happened, and how the spaceship opened even though Superman wasn't there, we'll find out later in the movie. But as soon as the three of them go inside, they first attack Superman's 4 robots. they severely injure and destroy them all. Not only that, they also capture Superman's dog, Krypto, and imprison him as well. After that, they find a message from Superman's real parents. But the message is only half visible, because the rest is damaged. Lex Luthor tells the engineer to recover it. The engineer fully restores the video and shows the complete message to Lex Luthor. Then they decode the entire video and take a copy of it with them. Meanwhile, in the city of Metropolis, we see that a giant dinosaur-like monster has attacked, and it's destroying everything in the city. But we find out that this monster was created and sent there by Lex Luthor. And he did it just so Superman would be busy fighting the monster, and he wouldn't notice them while they were inside his spaceship. And that's exactly what happens. Lex Luthor smoothly finishes his mission and escapes, while Superman is busy fighting the monster in the city. And during the fight, not only does Superman confront the monster, he also saves all the humans from it. Then, moments later, the Justice Gang team arrives to help him, which includes Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. The three of them join Superman, and together they defeat the monster. Now, friends, after this victory, all the people in the city start shouting Superman's name. Someone says, "Superman, you're our hero." Someone else says, "Superman, I love you." In this way, everyone becomes very happy for Superman. But friends, in the very next moment, all the displays throughout the city start showing the same news.